to the AJ Awesome Show, a show about my favorite things. My name is AJ, and my special guest for this episode is RJ City. I hope you like the show.
Hello, how are you, AJ?
Good.
Good. May I speak to you for just a little bit about your show? Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I've watched the show, and you have a very specific intro. First of all, you call it The Awesome Show, which is great because it is awesome. However, I feel like with me on it, it's perhaps less than awesome. It's perhaps a little disappointing. So maybe consider, just for this episode, you call it the AJ OK Show. You know, don't make any grand promises. That way we won't disappoint anyone. That's number one. It's something to think about with your production team. Number two is your intro. Before the thing starts, you go, I hope you like the show. Right?
Yeah.
How did you pick that note? Show. Did that just come out of you naturally, or did you think about it?
It just came out naturally.
I like it. However, you know, as you go on, you can change it up to suit the mood. You know, if you want something more somber, you could be like, I hope you like the show. You know, something to think about. Change it up. Would you mind? May I impose upon you? Could we do that together? Can we do your catchphrase together? Can we go, I hope you like the show, like on 3? Is that okay? I want to duet with you, if you don't mind. You ready?
1, 2, 3. I
hope you like the show. See, that's nice. It's very harmonious. The other thing, which alarms me, is that part is great. I hope you like the show, and I'm happy. And then all of a sudden, this meteor falls out of the sky, and your graphic starts flaming. It's the end of the days for the dinosaurs all of a sudden. And I was very frightened. So perhaps, you know, as you go on, as you continue to do these episodes, and you do a lot of them, perhaps a nice shot of a meadow. Perhaps flowers popping up, or a little babbling brook going through the middle of the screen. I'm just saying, there's other options. It's very destructive, the media. I'm sorry, I'm done. We may now begin with the questioning.
Hello. Welcome to the AJ Awesome Show. If you're new, I'm here with RJ City. Why did you decide to become a wrestler?
Well, I've been doing it long enough now to realize it was probably a mistake, like most things are in my life. I had very supportive parents, which I assume, you know, you have. You like interviewing. You want to do it. The family's like, let's do this. Let's interview. That's great, because interviewing, technology, all that stuff is a fruitful endeavor. Wrestling, not so much. I think my parents thought, let's support it, hoping he'll grow out of it. You know, unfortunately, here we are, decades later. I'm 62 years old, and I have not grown out of it. So, you know, every kid kind of wants to be a wrestler, but every kid also kind of wants to be like a Power Ranger and a fire truck too. But you can't become those things. Unfortunately for me, you can actually become a wrestler, and I live with that reality every day.
What advice would you give to a new wrestler?
Rethink your decisions. Perhaps maybe go to therapy. Find out what's wrong with you, why you want to do this at all. It's not normal. It's not remotely normal at all. Other than that, I would say don't try to be anything other than yourself. A lot of guys will try to be cool. They'll try to be the guy that they created on a video game. You know, it doesn't work. Audiences can tell when you're being authentic or when you're just trying to be something. So let it come from you. And if what comes from you is boring, then you happen to be a boring person, and I have no control over that. But nevertheless, that's the best way to go.
Who is your favorite Muppet?
Ooh, I like a fairly rare Muppets. First of all, Sam the American Eagle. You familiar with him?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, he used to introduce a singing act called Wayne and Wanda. And they used to sing these beautiful songs like, I thought that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. And then like a tree would fall on them, like horrible things would happen. But they were so sweet, and they never got a chance to sing a full song. So that bothers me. I also liked Marvin Suggs and his Muppaphones. He had these little fur balls with faces on them, and every time he hit them with a hammer, they would sing a note. So, I mean, he was a little intense for modern audiences, but he was one of my favorites.
Dun, 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 dun.
You remind me of a young Marvin Suggs.
What is the most underrated one?
The most underrated Muppet. You know what? They used to do, and they don't do it anymore, and I don't know what happened to the guy. You never see this Muppet anymore. The guy who did the Muppet newscast. In the middle of the show, he used to do a Muppet newscast. He used to say, oh, ping pong balls are falling out of the sky, and then ping pong balls would fall out of the sky. I never see him anymore. I don't know his name, which I think is a shame, and he doesn't show up in anything else. And I think in this age of new media and 24-hour news cycles, I think there should be a little room for the Muppets as a news anchor. I think that's a very important role.
So they just left him in the dust box for the
Yeah.
forever.
He's literally sitting in a trunk or hanging on a shelf like this, collecting dust and moths and who knows what. I think it's very sad. It's a very tragic end.
If you were a Pokemon, what type would you be?
I enjoyed that Jigglypuff liked to sing. I thought that was very interesting to me. He had a knack for entertaining, so I related to that. However, he always kind of seemed to sing the same tiresome song. So if I was a Jigglypuff, maybe I could be like a Jazzy Puff. I could jazz it up a little, snap my fingers, get a big band behind me, that kind of thing. When I was a child, wait a minute now. When I was a child, there was a game called Pokemon Snap. I don't know if you're familiar. And all you did, you literally just took pictures of them. You couldn't walk out on the street and find them on your phone. You literally had to take pictures of them, and that was the game. And then you took them back to this guy called the Professor, Professor Oak, who would say, oh, that's a nice picture. And that was the whole game. This is how far we have evolved since then.
What are your top 3 sitcom theme songs?
Oh, well, I love Night Court, which I wrote. Have you heard of Night Court?
No.
Well, you're going to love it. You look at the theme songs. Bow, down, bow, down, bow, bow, bow. And then I wrote lyrics to it, because some of them don't have lyrics, and I want people to know what the show is about. So I wrote lyrics. It's on YouTube. It is after 5 p.m., that kind of thing. I also loved the theme from Taxi, which is before your time, because it's also before my time. My parents and grandparents watched the show, and that one also has no lyrics. And the other one I like is perhaps the theme from Mad About You. If you've ever seen that show. And that was written by the same guy who wrote the theme to the Golden Girls. Riddle me that. Andrew Gold. Quite a popular guy.
My first name is Andrew.
Well, why isn't your last name Gold, I think is the real question.
Because my parents' last name isn't Gold.
Okay, good logical point. Here is a question. As you know, my name is RJ. Your name is AJ. Now, is your first name Andrew, or is the J also part of your first name?
No, the J is for my middle name.
See, because I have a middle, so I have RJ, and then I have a middle name beyond that. So RJ, the R and the J are technically considered my whole first name. Fascinating. I know, I'm intriguing you a lot. And the best thing I like about the nicknames is it saves so much time.
Yes.
And space.
Because just calling me AJ instead of just my name, just straight up, just helps save time.
Yes, and space. It's just AJ as opposed to writing Andrew Julius. Let's say the J stands for Julius, just for my own enjoyment. Let's say your name is Andrew Julius. Welcome to the Andrew Julius Awesome Show. Doesn't have the same ring.
Yes. How would you describe your wrestling style?
Here's a big word: subversive. Um, Meaning ironic and trying to tear down what I know about wrestling. Very critical of other people. It's very ironic in a sense. I wouldn't say it's very good. I don't think it's that particularly impressive. However, I think a lot of people find it both engaging and entertaining. And at this point, that's all you want out of life.
This one kind of relates to that other question, what you said about your character being ironic and silly.
Yes.
What would you say to people who take wrestling too seriously?
I would say, what is wrong with you? And I would say, what emotional voids do you have in your life that you have tried to fill it with wrestling? I mean, wrestling, as you know, should be fun. It should be what you are doing, right? Imagine if you thought you were the greatest, most serious interviewer in the world. It would be ridiculous. You are enjoying yourself, you are having fun, and you are learning as you go. And you're experimenting. You'll change it up. Now you're going to add flowers. You're going to say, I hope you like this show. Things will be different. I think that's fantastic. So people who take it too seriously are like people who, if you ever play with action figures or you're playing around with friends and they take it too seriously and they start thinking it's real, you're like, that's a little ridiculous. So that's what I think of those people.
Yeah, because sometimes I play with friends with action figures and stuff, and they're just like...
It used to bother me. I loved my action figures. I had a lot of them. And, some of them are hard plastic. And when you bang them together, you chip the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, guys, calm down. Maybe you need to paint or read a book or meditate a little. Don't ruin my action figures.
What do you have against small towns?
What do I have against small towns? That's a great question. Well, as you know, I am a city. I had thought about calling myself RJ Hamlet, or RJ Village, but I don't know if it has the same ring. I like a bustling metropolis. I like a lot of buildings. I like a lot of culture. And sometimes small towns, they don't get out that much. You got to take a trip to the big city. There's other people out there. There's other trains of thought, other points of view. It's perhaps a more diverse landscape, both physically and intellectually.
What is the proudest moment of your career?
Oh my. What is the proudest moment of my career? Well, I did enjoy giving David Arquette a black eye. I think that was fun because his whole family was in the third row too. That was an enjoy. Anytime you can disappoint someone in front of their family is amazing. And also, Pee Wee Herman was nice enough to be in attendance and watch the match. So to be able, because I would watch him obviously when I was a kid, and now he's watching me. It was a lovely full circle of idiocy for me, and that's what I'm most proud of.
When will you and David Arquette wrestle against the besties in the world so Fitchett can finally wrestle Arquette?
I am not sure. I don't know what David's status is about getting in the ring anymore. Of course, he was very beat up. He suffered a lot of different injuries, so I don't know where he's at. However, he's always, I think, open to the idea. I know it was going to happen a couple times, and then it ended up getting canceled, and then he got injured, and then it ended up getting changed. But I think David is a generous and giving person. I'm not. I'm going to charge people through the roof at this rate, I like to ask for a Cobb salad. Furthermore, I'll be expecting one from you at the end of the show.
I don't know how I'm going to give you one.
Well, you know what? If you just make one and take a picture of it and then I'll say, you know what? You have it. Don't put it in the mail. You have it. You enjoy it.
I've never tried Cobb salad.
It's a meal in a bowl, my friend. It's got lettuce, obviously. It's a normal salad base. And then it's got crumbled bacon and a hard-boiled egg and turkey and cheese. A whole cornucopia, a smorgasbord, if you will, of ingredients.
They had something like that in their school, but instead of Cobb salad, it was called chef salad or something.
The chef salad is perhaps a pared down version of the Cobb. The Cobb is quite expensive, and that's why I like to ask for it in contracts and wrestling companies and things. I want them to spend a little money on me, you know?
Did you ever try the obstacle courses on Splat-A-Lot?
No, because I was smart enough to realize it was not something I wanted to do. It looked incredibly painful. You know, when you watch the show and you see the kids, it's edited very quickly. There's commentating, there's music, there's sound effects. It seems kind of fun. But when you're there and you're watching a kid fall to complete silence, and then they have to swim all the way back and try it again, I looked at it and I said, this is probably not something I want to do. However, when Gildar retired from the show, I was catapulted into the moat, I was the first person to use this catapult. It would drive you and then stop and this thing would launch, and it was terrifying. I also don't like murky water. I like to see my feet when I swim. I like to know where all my limbs are. So that was a terrifying experience, and I was not interested in the rest of the course at all.
I can't even swim, so that wouldn't be something for me.
No, and good for you for knowing your limitations. A much more stubborn child would say, I can swim, let me do it. And then that would be a disaster. There's another good piece of advice. Know your limitations and live within them. Very sound advice.
Who is RJ City, and why should my viewers get to know you?
I like to say, and here's another useful word you can add to your vernacular. I like to say I'm a raconteur. It's an old word that people really don't use anymore, and it basically means I am a amusing storyteller in various formats. And that's like what I feel like what I do when I do wrestling, when I do comedy, when I do coffee and underwear, any YouTube business. When I'm doing this, I feel like that seems to be the common thread. Why should they follow me? That's a great question. I would ask them to just follow me and then give it like a trial week period. And if they don't like it by the end of the week, unfollow me and send me a message telling me why you're unfollowing me. I think that's a good system I've set up.
So you can change what people don't like. But if enough people like it.
Or I can say, you know what? I disagree with you and I'm going to do it anyway. So I think you're wrong. And you should probably just block me because it's only going to get worse.
That's the end. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this show. Not bad.
Not bad.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the AJ Awesome Show. I'd like to thank RJ City for being my special guest. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time!